Hi, today we're going to talk about keeping your toes warm while skiing. Now you're probably thinking, what's that got to do with improving my business communication skills? Nothing. It's just a fun little trick that we like. And I had some fun coming up with this idea and some fun fixing my boots. So let's talk about science. The first thing you have to do is understand how this works. Let's go way back to high school physics. Heat transfer. You remember how heat works. Heat will move from an area of high concentration, hot, to an area of low concentration, cold. What happens in your ski boot? It's warm in here, and the heat radiates out from the warm area to the atmosphere where it's much colder. Heat transfers in three ways. We have convection, we have conduction, and also radiation. And that's where we're going to focus today. Let's look at an example here. We're boiling water. With the flame, you have the convection, the air, that's going to heat up, that's going to move the heat from the flame into the pot of water. Also radiation. The heat is going to radiate from the flame into the pot and also all around. Think about this in your ski boot. Well, this is the ski liner, and it's a little easier to see here. We have plenty of insulation up here to prevent conduction, some thinner insulation down here to prevent a little more conduction. But what we don't have is a way of preventing the radiation. So the heat is going to radiate out from the bottom of your foot and also from over your toe. Look at all this surface area. We have all the surface area, and that's one of the reasons that your toes get so cold. How do we fix this? You're going to need a couple things. A Mylar survival blanket. These things are great to have. These prevent radiated heat. They reflect it. I always keep one of these in my pocket whenever I go skiing, just in case. By the way, they're cheap, about a 10-pack for $7. So you'll need one of these. Glue. This is Elmer's Extra Strong Glue. Any kind of sprayed glue will work fine. Pair of scissors, sharp knife, a couple Sharpies. That's all you really need. So let's get started. First, we're going to start with the orthotic. This is nice and easy. What we want to do is cover the bottom of this orthotic and around here around the arch with this Mylar to reflect the heat back up. So we'll put it right here, and we are going to trace with our Sharpie marker, and we want to leave a little extra space over here so it wraps up, come around over the toe, which is all flat, and this is where it can get a little tricky. On the arch, we have to leave enough space so it comes up around the arch. And let's leave a little extra just in case, so we can trim that off on the back end. Next, we want to cut this. I'm using an old X-Acto knife. Let's see if it's sharp enough to make a good cut. If it's not, we can always switch to scissors. Basically, any sharp tool will do. And make sure you leave enough room back here. Let's see, how did this work? Not too bad. Let's come around the toe. And I have some stuff under the newspaper so I don't scratch up my table. Be careful of that. So this peels right off. And I'm going to switch to scissors because this thing is not quite as sharp as I'd like it to be. So I'll move this out of the way. And this stuff can be a little tricky to work with. It's very, very, very thin, and it can be a little touchy. There we go. So here's our first piece. Let's move this out of the way. Voila, and this will wrap right up around here. Once we get this sprayed on here, then we're going to trim down all this extra. So let's move this to the side. Next is the boot. We will put our liner right on the Mylar, and just like we did earlier, we are going to trace all the way around, leave a little room. And these boots happen to have a transparent shell. We don't want this thing to look sloppy, so we're just going to keep it on the bottom where nobody's going to see it. So let's get this out of the way. We'll cut around here. Move this out of the way. So now you can see, imagine that this is on the bottom of your foot. All that heat from the bottom of your foot is now reflected back up into your boot. We have one more piece. you're going to lose a lot of heat across your toes. The heat is going to radiate up, especially if you have a toe warmer. If you have a toe warmer, these things will work so great because it'll radiate the heat instead of this way right back into your toe. So let's take another scrap of this Mylar, put it over here, and we're going to draw right like this. And we're going to see it come this way and maybe down here and right around here. And now these boots happen to be semi-transparent, so we want it to look nice. So let's cut this out. Remove this. And this nice little piece is going to fit just like that. And we are going to make some cuts right here and right here and right here so it wraps over your toes. As you can see, we have our 3 pieces of Mylar laid out. We have it under the insole, the orthotic, under the boot, and one for the toe. Now we'll start with the glue. So let's start with the orthotic first. So we have our extra strong glue. Let's give it a little shake. And we'll spray it and then place it on there. Here we go. Place it like so. Lift this up here. Press this down. Wrap these up and around the heel. And we'll set this aside. There's one. Next, the bottom of the boot. We'll put this right here. Take our spray glue. Whoops. And this is where the tweezers come in handy. We'll put our boot our liner right there and wrap this up on the bottom, and we can always trim off the extra. We'll move this to the side. Now we have our toe piece. This one's going to go right across the top of the toe. So let's spray this. Take our tweezers, because this glue is kind of a pain to get off your fingers. And very carefully place this right here and wrap this over. Get this stuck on here. And there we go. Now we will just let this dry and trim off the excess. So you can see I trimmed off the excess. Here's the orthotic, so all that heat's going to radiate back up into your foot. I covered the liner, so the heat from your toes is going to radiate right back in. So let's reassemble. We'll put the orthotic back inside the liner. This is going to go back into the ski boot, and then we are ready to go. So that's it. All said and done, this cost about $20 maybe. Happy skiing, stay warm.